Hello! Today we are talking about variables, and we're going to visit SpongeBob and his pals in Bikini Bottom to do this. In this presentation you will learn how to differentiate independent, dependent, and controlled variables. SpongeBob and his Bikini Bottom pals have been doing a little research to solve some problems. Read the description for each experiment and answer the questions. Keep in mind, this subject can be kind of tricky, so please make sure you take your own notes. Get a piece of paper. Get a piece of paper. Get a pen or pencil to write with, and try and write down some of the examples that we go over. You will be able to use this information on your next assignment, which is a quiz that looks very similar to some of the examples you will see here. So, to get started, first when you are looking at the example experiment, or the scenario as I like to call them, try and figure out which people or objects are in the control group and which are in the experimental group. If you remember from the scientific method presentation, the control group is used for comparison and it does not have the independent variable. In order to figure out which is the control and which is the experimental group, look for something different between these two groups. Once you know the experimental group, figure out the independent variable. This will be the something different that's not in the other group. This an independent variable can be changed or controlled by the experimenter. And it should produce different results between the two groups in the experiment. Once you've figured out the independent variable, you can look for the dependent variable. Ask yourself what is being observed in both groups. It should be something quantitatively or qualitatively measured. Let's take a look at our first example. In this example called Patty Power, we will be looking at the control group, the independent variable, the dependent variable, and we'll be trying to figure out what Mr. Krabs' conclusion should be. Let's go over what Mr. Krabs has done. As we read through the example, I'm going to highlight some information that will be important to us later. Mr. Krabs wants to make Bikini Bottoms a nicer place to live. He has created a new sauce that he thinks will reduce the production of body gas associated with eating Krabby Patties from the Krusty Krab. He recruits 100 customers with a history of gas problems. He has 50 of them, called Group A, eat Krabby Patties with the new sauce. The other 50, Group B, eats Krabby Patties with a look-alike sauce that doesn't contain the secret ingredient. Those are important clues to help you figure out the control group and the experimental group. Both groups were told that they were getting the sauce that would reduce gas production. 2 hours after eating the Krabby Patties, 30 people, or 30 customers in Group A, reported having fewer gas problems, and 8 customers in Group B reported having fewer gas problems. This gives you a clue as to which sauce worked better. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the control group. We notice that Mr. Krabs has placed his customers into 2 groups, A and B. Which one got something new? Which one got the tested thing? Whichever group got the tested thing would be the experimental group. The group that did not get the tested thing would be the control group. So if you guessed that Group B is the control group, that's correct, because Group B customers got the regular sauce. Now let's look at the independent variable. Ask yourself, what did Group A get that B did not? If you said that Group A got the new sauce, that would be correct. The independent variable is the new Krabby Patty sauce. Next, let's look at the dependent variable. In this experiment, what did Mr. Krabs measure about everybody who ate a Krabby Patty? You can find a clue down here based on the results that he got. If you said the amount of gas produced was the dependent variable, you are correct, because this is what Mr. Krabs had to look at for each customer that ate a Krabby Patty, whether it had the new sauce or did not. Finally, what should Mr. Krabs' conclusion be? Well, if we look at the results, 30 people that got the new sauce reported having fewer gas problems. Only 8 people that did not get the new sauce reported having fewer gas problems. So if 30 out of 50 people reported less gas, that must mean that the new sauce worked. In this case, we could say that the new sauce worked better than the control because more people, 30 out of 50 versus 8 out of 50, reported having less gas. Good. Let's move on to a second example. This example is called slimatosis. SpongeBob notices that his pal Gary is suffering from slimatosis, which occurs when the shell develops a nasty slime and gives off a horrible odor. Patrick has always said that rubbing seaweed on the shell is the perfect cure, while Sandy thinks that drinking a new thing called Dr. Kelp will be a better cure. SpongeBob decides to test this cure by rubbing Gary with seaweed and having him drink Dr. Kelp for 1 week. So what does SpongeBob do? After a week of treatment, the slime is gone and Gary's shell smells better. So, what is the problem that SpongeBob wants to investigate? He notices that Gary has slimatosis. Think about the next item on the list, the control. Did SpongeBob really have a control group? Did he have a group where one thing was tested and one thing was not? In this experiment, there is no control group. If he wanted to set up an experiment with a control group, he would need two animals with slimatosis. He would need to test one cure on one of the animals and test nothing on the other animal in order to compare them. What is SpongeBob's independent variable? What did he control? What factor or variable did he control throughout the experiment? In this case, it's Dr. Kelp and the seaweed cures. Notice we can't differentiate between the two because he tested them at the same time. The dependent variable is the amount of slime or odor on Gary's shell. We can determine a conclusion. It says that SpongeBob noticed after a week of treatment the slime is gone and Gary's shell smells better. Do we know which cure worked better? No. But at this point we can say that both products worked together. We can't tell which cure worked best since both of them were tested at the same time. Good, let's move on to example number 3. This example is called Marshmallow Mussels. You can see for this example that Larry, who is doing the testing, has provided us with a data table of results. This says that Larry was told that a new muscle cream was the best thing on the market and claims to double a person's muscle power when used as part of a muscle building workout. Interested in this product, he buys a special muscle cream and recruits Patrick and SpongeBob to help him with an experiment. So you can see we have 2 groups being set up. Larry develops a special Marshmallow weightlifting program for Patrick and SpongeBob. He meets them once every day for a period of 2 weeks and keeps track of their results. Before each session, Patrick's arms and back are lathered in the muscle cream, while SpongeBob's arms and back are lathered with the regular lotion. Let's take a look at the results. SpongeBob, who got the regular lotion, could lift 5 marshmallows at the beginning. After 1 week, he could lift 9, and after 2 weeks, he could lift 17. Patrick, being lathered with the special muscle cream, could lift 18 marshmallows at the beginning. After 1 week, he could lift 24, and after 2 weeks, he could lift 33. Notice, this is an important factor. At the end, Larry determined how much increase SpongeBob and Patrick had gained. How many more marshmallows could they lift at the end versus the beginning? SpongeBob's increase was 12 marshmallows, while Patrick's increase was 15 marshmallows. Let's move on to our items. In this case, which is the control group? I'll go back so we can see. Remember, the control group is the one that has the regular, everything is normal. It's going to be used to compare. If you said that SpongeBob is the control group because it had the regular lotion, you are correct. What's the independent variable? If SpongeBob is the control, that must mean Patrick is the experimental group. What did Patrick get that SpongeBob didn't? Well, Patrick got the new muscle cream. That is the independent variable. That is what Larry was testing. The dependent variable is what Larry measured for both Patrick and SpongeBob. In this case, he measured the number of marshmallows that both people could lift. And finally, what should Larry's conclusion be? If we go back and look at the results, SpongeBob could lift 12 marshmallows at the end. Patrick could lift 15, more than they could at the beginning. This must mean that the muscle cream appears to improve strength, since Patrick's increase after 2 weeks was greater than SpongeBob's. Are these results reliable? This is a question you will see when you are doing experiments. You have to be able to determine whether you can trust the results. In this case, we could say that yes, the results are reliable because both SpongeBob and Patrick followed the same lifting program. They both had the exact same treatment, with the exception of one being regular lotion and the other getting this new muscle cream. And the results were based on an increase, not on total marshmallows lifted. If you based it on total marshmallows, it could be possible that Patrick is just stronger than SpongeBob. I mean, we've all seen SpongeBob's skinny little arms. So, you have to look at how much increase they gained over the course of the 2-week period. Very good. I think we have one more experiment to do. The last one is called Microwave Miracle. Here, Patrick is doing a test between regular food and a special food. It says Patrick believes that fish that eat food exposed to microwaves will become smarter and will be able to swim through a maze faster. He decides to perform an experiment by placing fish food in a microwave for 20 seconds. He has the fish swim through a maze and records the time it takes for each one to make it to the end. He feeds the special food to 10 fish and gives regular food to 10 others. After 1 week, he has the fish swim through the maze again and records the time for each. So let's take a look at some of the things that Patrick does. Well, you can see that he has 2 groups. He has a special food group and he has a regular food group. It looks like, based on the data table over here, Patrick is recording the amount of time it takes for each fish to swim through the maze. And from our data table you can see that there are 10 fish in the regular food group and 10 fish in the special food group. What do you think the control is for this experiment? The regular food group is the control because that's the thing that's tested under normal conditions. The special food would be our independent variable. The dependent variable is the time it takes for the fish to swim the maze. In order to come up with our conclusion, we need to find the average amount of time it takes for the fish to swim through the maze. I'm going to show you how to do that here. Okay, and we'll find the average for regular food. First, to find the average, you will add up all of the numbers that you are given for one group. So we have 6 plus 10 plus 13 plus 5 plus 7 plus 19 plus 13 plus 9 plus another 9 plus 14. This gives us a total of 105 seconds. But that's not the average, that's the total. To find the average, we need to take this total and divide it by the number of fish that swam the maze. So in this case, we're dividing by 10. So our average is 10.5 seconds for the fish that swam using regular food. The special food average was 7.9 seconds. So before you make your conclusion, think about those two things. Which is the faster time? Don't be tricked. Remember, faster times mean lesser numbers. So in this case, the special food must work because fish had faster average times to swim through the maze. Are these results reliable? Well, you could say yes because the food was tested 10 different times under controlled conditions. Very good. Hopefully this is helpful. Make sure that you use this when you are taking your quiz, and the assignment, the actual assignment that goes with this is the quiz, which is the next thing you will see in Blackboard.